Hi, welcome to Sprouting Sanctuary. My name is Nadia, and thank you for joining me here in my backyard greenhouse in a little suburb outside of Sacramento, California, Zone 9B. In here, in my unheated greenhouse, it's about 60 degrees at the moment. Outside, it's about 50 degrees at the moment. For most places, I know that's probably spring weather, but for us, it is decidedly chilly. It is not the coldest we get. We do actually get sometimes even down to 20 degrees. That's about the lowest we'll ever go, 20 Fahrenheit. But this season has been a little bit warm. This winter, we didn't hit any real freeze or frost, 32 degrees, until the last week of December. That's when my bean plants that were left over that I was trying to save some seeds from finally decided that it was too cold for them to handle. So last week of December is a little late for us. It's about 3 weeks too late. Usually December 4th is our average frost date, and we didn't see that happen this time. So it doesn't get very cold here, which means that some blueberries just don't want to thrive here and give us any fruit. There are some varieties that will grow here, which is what we're going to be talking about today. But that means that you can't just pick any old blueberry and go for it. You got to pick ones that will thrive in an area that doesn't get quite as cold for quite as long. All right, so blueberries. Here in 9B, we have a little bit slimmer choice over what variety of blueberries we can plant, mostly because most blueberries need several thousand hours under that threshold of 45 degrees Fahrenheit in order to set fruit. But we have some options. I have chosen for my backyard to plant pink lemonade blueberries. Now I've got two plants here. One is from my local big box store and one is from my local nursery. Both are the pink lemonade variety. This variety is self-fertile. You don't have to have two blueberry plants for this particular variety. There are some that you do. Make sure you check. But they do better when there's more than one plant. So we're planting two. We only need about 400 to 500 hours a year under 45 degrees in order for this variety to set fruit, which is manageable here in Zone 9B. The other thing about blueberries is they like acidic soil. So there's some options for how to acidify your soil. One is the old standard, find something to acidify your soil with. One option is, of course, cottonseed meal. I just picked this up at my local nursery. It was just right there on the shelf. People use this for hydrangeas, camellias, azaleas, etc. Also blueberries. Tried and true. We know this works. And then I'm trying something else here, and that is coffee grounds. Coffee grounds add not only acidity to the soil, but they'll also give you some nitrogen, which will help in setting more foliage. Nitrogen is important for the foliage, but it should be good. Blueberries are not an annual, they're a perennial here in 9B. I'm not sure if they're an annual anywhere. I don't think they are, but anyway. But we will be planting these in the hopes that we get good harvests in about 4 years. So this is by no means something that you're planting for a great harvest this year, but it's planting for the future. With that in mind, I will be planting in a pot above ground, mostly because I used most of our backyard, other than the lawn, which we have to keep for the dogs, is for growing vegetables and annual crops here. So, but I think these blueberries will do very nicely in a pot, and it enables me to move it to areas that has more sun. Most of the areas that are not planted with annuals here in my backyard suffer for sun. So let's get started. So I've got my first pot here. It's about 10 gallons and it's got drainage holes in the bottom. This is just a plastic pot. I am not a fan of heavy things if I can avoid it, because I like to move things around a lot. So plastic works for me. And then I've just got some standard potting mix from any old, you know, big box store, or from your local nursery will do. Potting soil is going to be much better than topsoil. There's different grades of that. Other people have videos on what type of soil is best, but potting soil for a pot makes sense to me. So, but the thing about potting soil is it tends to be slightly neutral. And for blueberries, we want it to be acidic. So I'm going to start by putting some soil in the bottom of my pot here, because we do not want the roots to start at the very bottom of the pot, otherwise they'd try to grow out of the pot. Alright, now that I have my pot about halfway filled up with soil, I'm going to add about half of my 3 cups of coffee. So for those of you counting, that's 1.5 cups of coffee grounds, approximately. It smells delicious in here. And then, to make sure that it's mixed in and doesn't actually burn the plant, just gonna mix that in. Now, with half the soil in, that's about the right depth to put this blueberry plant into the pot. So, just slip this guy out gently. Don't want to kill the plant. And I always break up the roots a little bit. This is what my grandpa taught me to do. I never have any problems with it, but you can break them up a little bit. Seed it nicely inside your pot and fill it up the rest of the way. Now that I'm not quite to the top, I will add the rest of the coffee grounds in, keeping care to stay away from the actual plant itself, because this is, in its truest state, raw compost, right? It hasn't had time to break down into soil. So just like you can burn plants by putting too much nitrogen fertilizer on them, the same thing, I bet my bottom dollar, can happen with coffee grounds. Alright, and then we just fill it up the rest of the way. Alright, now all that's left is to water this guy in and set him outside so that he can make sure to get enough cold weather to set some fruit. Now for the blueberry using the more traditional method. The cottonseed meal says to use 1 tablespoon for every 6 inches of pot height. So this is a little above a foot tall. I've got my handy dandy ruler here, which says that 12 inches hits this top of this little rim here. So I'm going to be putting in 2 tablespoons of the cottonseed meal. I've got a handy little beaker here that'll help me do that. Alright, in it goes, and we'll mix it in. Just as we did with the coffee grounds. Now, in goes our plant. As you can see, these roots are much shallower than on the one from the nursery. That's okay. And now we'll fill it up the rest of the way with soil. Same thing with this one. We'll water it in and set it outside to make sure it gets enough of those cold days. We've planted our first blueberry plants here at Sprouting Sanctuary, and they're gonna be pink. I can't wait. We probably won't see a great harvest from these for at least 3 or 4 years, but we'll check in on them periodically, and we'll continue to add coffee grounds to the one with coffee, and we'll continue to add cottonseed meal to the one that had cottonseed meal and see if that makes a difference in their growth habits. But I can't wait to see what we get in a couple of years. I hope that you guys are enjoying learning in your garden as much as I am, and I hope you continue to join me as I learn and grow in the garden. So, thanks for joining me, and see you next time.